Okay, this is a recording showing some of the grant tracker functionality that we have in Salesforce. Okay, so I just typed grant into my search bar and it pulls up some different reports that we've used in the past. So the couple that I'm familiar with are this one here called Grant Pipeline Summary. So um, essentially, if what you see here is what stage it's in. So there's some that we want to apply to, and this was, of course, from past years. So we would set it up so it would only show, for example, 2019. Um, and the due date's over here. So these are the different stages. To apply, pending sounds like it's been submitted and we're waiting to hear. Awarded, denied, received. Um, and I think there's some different ones. I think if we can have as many stages as we want. So we could do like LOI. I know there's sort of these different stages. So those can be determined by you. And then, like with any report in Salesforce, you can pick what you see on a report view. So there's a ton of fields you could add in here. And basically, I think how this works is you would enter the prospect um, as a type of donation, right? So can show you this later, but it's basically you'd go to create new donation, and so you'd be entering, whoopsie, all the input about the particular grant that you are going to go after. So these are some of the fields that are available. Staff contact, the amount you're going to apply for. There's a lot of different fields, and again, you can add or take out whatever fields are going to be the most helpful. So essentially, if you're the one kind of in charge of this process, as you make updates, so let's say the LA 84 Foundation, you finish the application, you change it to pending, right? And then when you save it as pending, the next time you run that report, it's going to fall under the pending section. So essentially, is this the report? No, that's a different report. Essentially, you'd have a series of reports that would categorize things in different ways, and everything would live on Salesforce. And then as soon as you get it, it would be changed to awarded. It would automatically go towards our goals in Salesforce. So that's kind of the really quick picture. What kind of thoughts do you have just looking at this sort of big picture stuff? Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. And I think there probably would be some ways to do it. So, like due date, you can order it, by due date, and you can set filters. So you could, just look at the to apply ones. I guess what's not on here are like the reports that are due and things like that. Um, Although, we can add that stuff in. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So for any report, you can kind of add in, depending on how you have things filtered, you can add in different types of charts. So there's definitely the possibility you can do this by month. It really depends on how it's sorted. So like for example, I can go back to the report and I can change it by date, and then you can do a chart by date. So all that is possible. You know, what I think, oopsie, I didn't mean to go to that. I was looking for that report. What would be most helpful is if you emailed me, like, these are the things that I would love to have. I'd love to have a report that shows this. These are the sorts of fields I would want. I would love to see a timeline of what's coming up next. I'd love to see, you know, when the reports are due and get notified of them. That's the other cool thing about Salesforce. So you can set up these notifications. So I can say if due date is within the next 30 days, or is 30 days from now, send Maya an email. And it will be like, Maya, LA 84 Foundation is due in 30 days, you know? So you can set all kinds of reminders. We can do, if we set up some kind of report functionality, but when the report is due, same thing, it will send you an email and then it could populate another report. So Salesforce does have some nice functionalities with the automation there where it can like nudge you to do things at certain points, which I really like. And we use that a lot for the programs team. They get automated emails all the time about volunteers they need to check in with and matches that are ending and things like that. Um, so I think that that's a good functionality of this as well. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, you know, we can build any number of reports, and it looks like at some point somebody really did a good job of building out a bunch of different reports. So, if you just type grant into your search bar and then go to the reports section, um, it'll show all of the past reports that we've done. So I think there's a bunch of different ones. Like I haven't clicked into all these. Like I don't know what grant big picture foundation status is. Reporting here, this one is I think the one we were talking about. Reporting on awarded grants. So I'm not exactly sure. Subject contains report. So I'd have to really figure out how to do this. But it looks like in a donation, then you would make a task called report, and then this is basically where you set a due date. You can set reminders, you know, email Chitali to ask if any materials from the Dodgers is needed prior to submitting the grant. You can like give yourself notes about what you know what you're supposed to be reporting on or whatever. You can assign it to a person. So let's say you know you're going to do some, but Colton's going to do some or whatever. You could assign it to him. So yeah, it looks like at one point there was a really good system for managing grants on Salesforce, but it would take some work because I'm not familiar with it. But it's you know I think within an hour I could have it figured out and I could set it up for you in a way that I think would be pretty easy to use. But I would also need to teach you how to. You'd have to kind of like invest time into inputting all of the current grants that you're working on, the ones that you've already submitted. So it would take an investment on your end to sort of transfer what you have in your spreadsheet to here. And ultimately, you know, I think it's okay to work off of a spreadsheet. I think a lot of people do. I think um, I'm a big Salesforce fan because of all the things you can do with it. And so I always prefer to work in Salesforce, and it's really easy to share things and everything on Salesforce. But if you think about it and want to stick with what you've got now, I think that's perfectly okay. Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna pause this video